Hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm reaching out to all of you beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is, and you might have noticed, maybe you haven't, and this will be to see who's really paying attention or not. So especially if you're really one of those people out there that do watch my YouTube videos on a regular basis. Lately, you haven't been seeing me walk around. It's because it's so hot, and um, the last 4 days I have been drained just because my brother passed away. So I really am, I got to really take good care of myself right now as far as my energy and the food that I eat. So that is why Starlight's really just relaxing these days, and it's so important. So anyway, I hope you're getting out in nature anyway, but even if it's like 90 or even hotter than 90 like it's been in this area, is to make sure at least to get out for a little bit, or even like where I am right now, is to get out in the shade somewhere and bring plenty of water with you. This is where I am grateful for this water. God blessed me with this water. I am so grateful for the water that I received today. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. So anyway, if you are new to my YouTube channel, you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman. And if you want to be that change in the world more than just want to see it, wouldn't it be great to be it and see it? Not only that, is if you're being it, you get to see it and experience it, because not everybody's going to experience it. We're all at different levels. So anyway, besides giving my videos a thumbs up, plus you can also leave a message down below. And Starlight decided to, you know what, I need a hair down day. It's starting to grow. So anyway, besides leave a message down below, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget the notification bell. That way you do not miss any videos. Plus, you could share any of my videos with anyone you want. And you can also check out my playlist. Plus, you could follow me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So here we go. Some of you, I'm going to let you know in the beginning, there's some people out there that might really get upset over this video, but this is a very important video to make, because this happens a lot more than you think. And it's about, I just put a video out today that I made yesterday. I was a day behind getting it out, but it got out. And anyway, if you are a dad, again, happy Father's Day to the ones that really gave their all. So to all of you, I really appreciate all of you being great dads to your kids, and they will thank you later when they realize the work that you put in. But now this is kind of related to Happy Father's Day. This is about grandmas and grandpas. I've made a lot of different videos about parents, where I do kind of count the grandma and grandpa in those videos, to say, hey, if you're a part of this, some grandpas and grandmas are and some aren't. Like Starlight is far away from her grandkids. I'm kind of in the middle of both, because I have my one grandson that's 14, and then my other one that will be, turning 5 some days soon. Not quite 5 yet. It's amazing. So, and that one lives far away from me. So I am not physically involved with my grandsons, but we do get on the phone, or I do hear about my other grandson, because the 14-year-old is so busy, at that age. So anyway, if you are involved with your grandkids, granddaughters, grandsons, just maybe you got one grandkid, or maybe you got lots of grandkids from different, a lot of, that's how it is with a lot of people. The more kids you had, then they go out and have babies, and that one has babies, this one, you can't even keep up with them. You got like so many grandbabies. I've talked to a lot of people, women or men, and they tell me how many grandkids they have. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. So sometimes I see things or hear things or know things, and because all above the I see, I know, I hear about it, it's about grandmas and grandpas. And I've heard this throughout my life, is a lot of grandpas and grandmas, and there's all different reasons. Sometimes grandmas and grandpas, it's hard to say if they were there for their own kids from birth all the way through, or they were there just in the beginning. And sometimes it, it happens where maybe it's later on. Maybe they weren't there in the beginning because they were learning some lessons in life. Some people, when they start off, they're in their partying stage, and they're, they really don't know how to really process everything when they're out in the real world, whether they're working or not. And, so sometimes parents, parents can, this happens, is that they could have gotten in trouble when they were younger, or even when, in between, all kinds of strange things could happen to parents, why they might have not have been there the full time. Like I got 2 kids myself, and I was there for most of the time for my son, up into I believe he already graduated, so then it was after that time where, my son went somewhere else for a little bit. So, and then my daughter, it was a different story. So we all have, things that happen, and everything happens for a reason. So it's not by accident that whatever happened in your case. So if you're a grandpa or a grandma, have you ever said, hey, I can't wait, when I get grandkids, I'm going to spoil rotten? I've heard that my whole life, that grandmas, and it's a joke though, it's a really funny joke. It's like, hee hee, I'm going to spoil my grandkids rotten, and that, I've seen lots of parents spoiling their kids rotten. Is spoiling your kids rotten a good thing or a bad thing? Could it be a good thing, or is it only a bad thing? And I guess depending on how you are about it, there's reasons why some grandparents, they can't wait for their kids. When it came to both of my kids, as far as being a grandparent, is my daughter shocked me. I didn't even know that was going to come. And with my son, it was a totally different story. When he started out with his wife, they weren't going to have kids. I'm like, oh, why not? And then he told me why, because I told him some things, and I really wanted to see him have kids. But if he didn't want to have kids, I was good with that too. Where there's a lot of moms and dads that are not, they might really pressure their sons or daughters to, hey, can you make a baby for us? We want to have a grandkid. And so there's a lot of daughters and sons out there that might try to have a baby just because their parents want to have a grandson or a granddaughter. So they could spoil them, right? They're like, I didn't really do things right with my kids, or maybe I missed out on some times, when I was younger, bringing your kids up. And there's so many different scenarios that I can come up with, but I really don't want to get too far stretched out, because if you were there the full time, whether you were married or not, whether you were single raising your kids. Like with Starlight, I was single, the daddies were not in the picture, so with me bringing up my kids is a different story, with yours. So we all have different backgrounds as far as how everything came together, and and how we are now as adults, when our kids are grown up. And if you are a grandpa or a grandma, some parents, you know, they want to spoil their kids rotten because maybe when you had kids, you know, your son or daughter or daughters or sons, is that maybe there's things that you couldn't do because you didn't have the finances, where there, you know, maybe now, you know, that you got it all, you think you got it all figured out, is now you might have a lot of money where you're thinking, I am going to spoil my grandkids, you know. So there's, normally it's a joke when I hear that, when, oh, I'm going to spoil my grandkids. And I have to say with that is there's balance. You know, it's great to see that grandparents are excited and they want to go out and buy their grandbabies, you know, like newborn clothes when the baby is born, you know, and they can't wait to see the babies, you know, when they're in the hospital or wherever they are born, because Starlight wasn't born at any hospital, no. I was going down a portal. Well, some of you will laugh at that because if you heard my story a long time ago where Starlight thought she was going. So not in a hospital. But anyway, that is for the ones that actually took the time out to watch that video. So you might not be able to ever find out where Starlight thought she was going when she was born. Yeah, I thought I was going in a portal. But anyway, besides Starlight being born in a portal, is my life has to be interesting though. Is like with my grandkids, you know, you got to take what you learned from your kids and, you know, try to use those things that you knew that, oh, you know, I learned that the hard way with my own kids. Like, you know, things like not saying no to your grandkids. Now, I know you want to spoil your kids rotten, but do you always let your grandkids have whatever they want? What was that? Oh, yeah, some of them do, you know, but, you know, that can really lead them to being rotten later on, or it can really cause a huge problem with your kids because, you know, there's got to be balance as far as being a parent or even a grandparent. And this is a big, huge problem, especially if the grandparents are, you know, sometimes grandparents are taking, you know, I've met people where they're tired of taking care of their kids. It's almost like their grandkids are their kids. It's not really, you know, and that's why it's so important not to pressure your kids into having babies. That could be a huge mistake, you know, because what if your kids really don't want to have any kids, but then you're putting them on a guilt trip that, oh, we want kids now, you know, they want to be, you know, maybe you know somebody that has kids and then they had babies and you got to hold them and you want to go back and experience that moment of holding babies. Where please don't pressure your kids, because they could end up really getting, you know, like having a baby or even more and regret it. And who are they going to think? They're going to think, oh, you talked me into this? Why? Now, you know, my life is ruined because you talked me into having a baby. And I didn't want a baby, but you pressured me. You just kept on saying like you were hoping that we would have a baby. And you know, my wife and I, we talked about it. We don't want to have, you know, because we realize it's a lot of work. You know, we don't really feel like we're cut out for all that work. You know, the responsibility, the extra money that it costs. You know, and the freedom that they will lose is by having kids. And if not now, because I'm on this mission with God, but before, when I was in my 40s, my doctor thought I was crazy. In my 40s, I wanted 10 more kids. You know, but could Starlight find a man out there that could have been a great dad? No, that's why that did not happen. So in those years, if I really wanted to get pregnant, I bet you I could have found a way of getting pregnant. It's just that there was no man in my life that would have been a great father figure or a great husband. Wham, bam, gone. Where did they go? So as far as being a grandparent is that you want to really do this is where we need you. We need all the grandparents to be a great example to their grandkids. Those things that you learned with your kids, hopefully you learned stuff with your kids, is that to apply that to your grandkids. Teach them patience, right? Teach them that there's consequences to their actions, right? Teach them that in life you can't always have your own way. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Because if you're not teaching that to your grandkids, it's just like having kids that they have parents, a mom and a dad, and they get separated. Now there's the mom over here. She's, has her house, and the dad, he has his house, whether they're renting or not, who cares? But now dad and mom, they could either be with somebody or not be. They could be single or not. They could got remarried. It doesn't matter. It does matter, actually. It does matter. But so now, it's just like this, is that mom's got a set of rules at her house and dad's got a set of rules. And then when, even if the daddy got married or even had a girlfriend, now they got to have an agreement to what the rules are going to be like at the house. And does she have kids or he have kids? So complicates everything for those poor kids. It really does. It brings a lot of confusion into the home when families get separated. And especially if the mom and dad, whether they were married or not, if they are getting along or not, hopefully you are grown up enough to, to settle things, get things straight. Don't be jealous over, because you're dating somebody. That's none of your business anymore. As long as, they're taking good care of the family, the kids, the wife, the girlfriend, the ex, or whatever is, but, there's, that causes a lot of problems, and that's why it's so important in the beginning is to start off right. Don't be in such a rush to, jump in relationships. That way these kind of things, not saying it won't happen, but the likelihood that it won't happen because you slow down and you took your time. So as far as grandparents go is, like if you have your grandkids all week, because maybe you're babysitting, maybe you're retired and you're like, yeah, we want to babysit, help out with the kids. So I'm just going to take this fanny pack off. is we are going to babysit the kids while you're at work, save you some money. Maybe grandpa and grandma don't even want to get paid. They just want to spend some time, kind of relive, the moment of having kids, especially if hopefully they were good parents, and hopefully they're going to teach the grandkids the right things. Just because you're a grandma or a grandpa doesn't mean that you throw all the rules out the door and say, hey, now, we don't have to go by those rules. I mean, I listen to the radio and I don't, a lot of times when the people, on the radio speak, I hear a lot of things I don't want to hear. And this is one of them, is that, with grandparents where, they were talking about how and this is where this topic came up, is because of this conversation, on the radio, is that these grandparents were talking on the radio and said, oh yeah, we had rules, I'm not going to word it the way they worded it. We had rules at the house for our kids, but now with the grandkids, we don't go by those rules. There was like a grandmother that was actually, like, I'm just going to really blow your mind, but maybe you're one of those grandparents that does this. I was, oh yeah, in the morning, I wouldn't let my kids do this, but I gave them fruity cereal, the kind with the loaded sugar. I gave that to them, and another grandma, oh yeah, you know, she had a story how it was when she was, you know, like a parent and had her kids. And oh yeah, you know, like when my grandson wants something at the store, I buy my grandson, you know, I buy my grandson anything that my grandson wants, you know. And so these things is not really a good thing for your grandkids, you know, is you know, because they need to learn that you can't always get what you want in life. And as far as fruity cereal goes, it's loaded with sugar. What are you teaching them? You know, health is wealth, really. And when it comes to eating the kind of food, is we should be a good example to our grandkids, even to our kids, the kind of food. When I was younger, I didn't know any better. So, like, if I did it all over again, you bet your ass I'm not going to put the stuff in the cart, you know? If they want that kind of food, then go get a job, you know, and go buy it yourself, or get the money somehow or another and you go buy it, you know? So those things, because what you're teaching your kids, hang on, I got something here, is, you know, they're going to want to go to grandma's house more. And what if the kid disobeys you? Are you going to just, you know, let your grandkid just get away with it because it's your grandkid now? Hang on. So, because what happens, just like when parents get separated, is that they have a set of rules here, and these guys have totally different rules than, you know, over at dad's house, we get to eat junk food. And over at mom's house, mom's not going to let us eat that, dad. But hey, since dad's going to, you know, it's not right for the kids. It's really going to confuse them as far as, you know, what is the right thing to do, and what, you know, like, as far as behavior goes, as far as, you know, like what is healthy to eat, you know, what time to wake up, what time to go to sleep, what I am allowed to wear. Mommy lets me do this, but daddy won't. You know, so you've gotta have some kind of agreement and say, you know, like if I have grandkids, but like if I had my my parents really were not really there for my kids growing up most of the time, I have to say. So my kids really don't know what it's like, you know, like to like get dropped off, you know, at grandpa or grandma's. Yeah, and so with grandpa or grandma, you know, is that like if I drop my kids off just like a babysitter, I would have, hey, these are the rules, mom and dad. Mom and dad, I got to talk to my mom and dad and say, these are the rules I have for the kids. Please respect my rules for my kids, because grandpa and grandma could corrupt your kids and turn them against the parents. Everything that the parents are working so hard for, grandma and grandpa could tear it all apart. Or even a babysitter or anybody that's bringing up those kids. You know, if it's not mom and dad, you know, and if you got a sitter or even at the daycare, you know, hey, put the rules out. As far as, I know this is not for parents, but I can make another video on that, is, hey, are you, you know, you got kids? Well, hey, make sure people go by the rules, you know. I had, there was rules, you know, as far as disciplining the kids. You know, grandpa and grandma might have been hard ass, you know. Yeah, I said that, and hard ass, you know, maybe, you know, there's some grandpas and grandmas that were abusive to their kids. What would you want? Maybe you wouldn't even want your kids to have grandpa and grandma watch them, right? Because if they were abusing you when you did something wrong, how is your like your grandpa and grandma are gonna discipline your kids. So really, I know that's about grandpas and grandmas, but I hope grandpa and grandma are not abusing the kids. Hopefully, because then, that is going to be a huge problem, for the children and their future as that goes. So it's one thing to go out and want to, like a birthday with your grandsons and granddaughters or whoever you have, as far as, as a grandchildren or child, is it's okay to spoil them rotten when they have their birthdays, but don't break the rules on the things that you would buy for your grandkids. If you know that mom and dad would not want the kids to have certain things, don't be that grandpa or grandma that goes out behind mom and dad and buy things that you know that mom and dad are not going to be pleased with. Would that be fair for your kids to, when your kids might be thinking, hey, I want to do things a lot different than the way my parents brought me up. I got rules that are different. And that's great. That's great that you changed the rules, especially if mom and dad's rules did not work or you didn't agree with them. That's part of being a parent. It's up to you now. If you're a parent, is to bring up your kids in the way that you want them to go, and how what other people should be doing or should not be doing. So anyway, I really hope, you're teaching your grandkids things that you might have forgotten about, things that you didn't think about, as far as, the right age, for your kids when they get older. If you got grandkids at different ages, there's things that grandma and grandpa should be teaching them, and letting them know, and helping the mom and dad out. If you love your own kids, you're not going to want to spoil them rotten, because they could be, you could tear everything apart what your kids are working for, as far as bringing them up. Now, if your kids are not doing a good job bringing them up, that's a different story, and then you want to help out and kind of help your kids. That's a natural thing. We're always going to see something in our kids when they're bringing their kids up, like, oh, I want to help them out in this. I see that what they're doing is not, especially when it's a first-time baby, it's like, ooh, they're first-time parents. They're learning everything the first time. And normally after the second child, if they have a second child, that's when you learn a lot of things that you did in your first, with your first child, that you're like, ooh, I'm not going to do this with you, because I realize I made the wrong choice with the firstborn, the first child. So please have that balance with your kids. It's okay to go out, and I'm not saying not to go out and buy stuff for your grandkids, but also teach them, that purposely bring them in the store somewhere or a favorite place, and don't buy them anything. Teach them that. Really. Because it will help them out, because it won't always, sometimes the way it looks is grandpa and grandma are the good guys and mom and dad are the bad guys. You don't want it like that. You want to educate your kids and say, hey, your parents are doing a good job, and I'm here kind of whatever how they want me, to be with you. I'm going to kind of mold that, and teach you the things that your mom and dad would want to bring you up in this good way. You can tell them the right and wrong in life and stuff like that. Be a great role model for your grandkids, and don't be afraid to speak up to your kids and say, I don't want to tell you what to do, but I got some grandma and grandpa tips for you. If you would like to hear my insight, or, you could have a conversation with them and say, hey, I see that you're doing this, and we did the same thing you're doing, and, we realized that was really not the greatest thing to do to help them out. It doesn't hurt to try not to control, but to, out of, caring about your grandkids and your kids, to have a easy, not that it's going to be easy, bringing up kids or grandkids, is that you want to, this heat, I'm not complaining, it just, it gets me tired, is make sure that, you know, you're having balance with the grandkids. Teach them right from wrong, and teach them yes and no. Teach them about work. Teach them, you know, the things that you might have you forgot, you know, with your kids at the right appropriate age, of course. So anyway, I really hope you get a lot of help from this video. I know there's so much more I could have talked about. You could give this video a thumbs up. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you could leave a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. Don't forget the notification bell. And you could share. And don't forget the playlist. Check the playlist out. And also, you can find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is at Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, I love you all. Just be, you know, like, don't, you could spoil your kids rotten, but in a healthy way. Teach them what the healthy food is, you know, because maybe you've gone through some problems with your gut when you got older, or maybe you're not quite there yet, you know, about certain foods and how it affected you in a negative way. Teach your grandkids, you know, the things maybe your mom, you know, the mommy and daddy are not. You know, maybe mommy and daddy are letting them have all the junk food. You could be the grandparent that saves the day and says, in our house, you can't have that kind of food in our house. That's the kind of food, you know, that we don't eat in here. But when you go back to mom and dad's, there you go. But, you know, you can set up good boundaries for your grandkids. So anyway, I do love you. This is Starlight. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.